Kelly, how we doing? Do we have to like hit record? Yep, that.
Recording in progress.
All right. Welcome to the Village of Cottage Grove Plan Commission on Wednesday, June 10th, 2026. This is a hybrid meeting occurring both in person at Village Hall and a hybrid via Zoom. That Zoom link is at the top of our agenda, and you can also watch either now or later on our YouTube channel. It is 6:30, so I'll call the meeting to order. We have a quorum and the agenda was properly posted, so we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, this is the public appearances, public's opportunity to speak. So we welcome your comments. We ask that you state your name, your address, and then limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes. We do have 2 public hearings tonight, one for the Bryn Mawr Presbyterian Church zoning map, and the second for the request from Newman Homes. So if you have comments for either of those, you can wait until those public hearings, and then we'd invite you to come up and speak during that time. If there are any other comments about agenda items or other things, we'd welcome you to we can take those comments at this point in time. So we'll start with anyone in the room that would like to give comments other than the 2 public hearings. And then we'll move to anyone on Zoom who would like to give public comments. You can put your cursor over the react button and use the raise hand feature so we can unmute you. All right. Seeing no one for public comment during this portion, we're going to move on to discuss and consider the minutes from the Plan Commission meeting on May 13th, 2026. Those meeting minutes are linked in the agenda.
Motion to approve is presented.
All right, there's a motion by Alex and a second by John. Is there any other discussion on the meeting minutes as presented? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. All right, so we're going to move on to a presentation. You all are in for a treat tonight. A presentation by Monona Grove High School student Ellie Meng, who regarding her Girl Scout Gold Award project related to bird safety. So Ellie, if you want to come up, I'll introduce you. So Ellie is a sophomore, now going to be a junior, given that it's the first day of summer, where her studies have been focused on math and science primarily. She's lived in Cottage Grove for 16 years and has been active in Girl Scouts for coming up on almost 11 years. She's currently working on her Girl Scout Gold Award. So it's the highest award that any Girl Scout can achieve, which requires a minimum, and she'll probably go over this, of 80 hours of work. Today's presentation is in the hopes of making a village ordinance for bird-safe glass upon creation of buildings 10,000 square feet or more. And she will present her question to us at the end of her presentation. And so following graduation, she plans to pursue her Bachelor's of Science degree at UW-Whitewater and hopes to get her doctorate of veterinary medicine at UW-Madison. So welcome, Ellie. We look forward to your presentation.
Thank you. As you know, I am Ellie Meng, and I am here in the hopes of making a village ordinance to help protect these birds from these devastating window collisions. Some of you may not know that Wisconsin has over 400 different types of bird species, with 243 of those being documented nesting species. Part of the reason Wisconsin has so many different birds is because of the diverse habitat, which encourages all this bird life, along with other animals. Some of these birds include the cardinals, robins, blue jays, goldfinches, and woodpeckers, which are all also high risk for window collisions. Window collisions are especially prominent in the migration period. One website that really helps track these migration traffic, I guess, is the Birdcast. Birdcast is actually a website you can look up on your own time, and it will show you the flow of bird movement. The lighter colors, so the yellows and whites, are heavier bird movement, which you can see, especially in Wisconsin, we have a lot of bird traffic during the migration period. Two reasons that bird collisions occur is due to transparency and reflection. Transparency is when there are windows on both sides of the building that you can see through. We call this the pass-through effect. It's when birds try to fly through the windows, which doesn't work very well. Another one, the reflection, is when the windows are almost like mirrors, and obviously the birds can see their own reflection. This picture for reflection was taken at the Dane County Humane Society before they put up treatment on these windows. As you can see, it was very reflective, basically a mirror. I don't even know why they called it a window at this point. Thankfully, now it is treated, but that was 15 minutes away from us, and it was a major problem. Low-rise buildings in residential areas also account for a high number of collisions, surprisingly, because most people would believe it is the higher skyscrapers that cause these collisions, which, again, is not true. Residential areas account for just under half of these collisions, while low-rise buildings account for just over half of these collisions per year. Light pollution can also be a factor in these collisions, again, during the migration period when the bird traffic is really high. Fully shielded lights or even turned off lights at night are the best to prevent these bird collisions due to how light will draw birds down. However, this is not the only solution, and even if lights are turned off, it should always be paired with some other treatment on these windows. Windows are actually the second highest killer of birds, the first being outdoor cats, actually. But some things that people have been doing, specifically Save Our Songbirds and the Southern Wisconsin Bird Alliance, is habitat restoration, planting more native gardens, and reducing pesticide use. And again, while these do help the birds, they don't target the root cause, which is the window collisions. A quick side note here is the material threat factor. It's a scale that the American Bird Conservancy uses to determine how effective window treatment is. It's on a scale of 1 to 100, with closer to 1, so the lower number means the treatment is more effective, so it's more bird safe. How they do this is they have this dark enclosed tunnel. They'll send a bird down the tunnel. There'll be 2 windows at the end, one with a treatment, one without a treatment. There are nets in front of the windows, so no birds are being hit. But if the birds are consistently flying at the treated window, then we know it's not very safe. Some common treatments are dots, paracord, and tempera paint, with the main one being dots. Bird dots can be placed during the construction period on buildings. This is called fritted glass, where the dots are actually baked or etched into the glass. Or they can be placed afterwards once a window has been deemed to be a problematic window, meaning it is not bird safe. And there are many different organizations that produce these dots, one of them being Feather Friendly, and these dots come on a roll. But again, dots can come in the fritted glass, which prevents any of this from ever needing to happen. So with all of this in mind, I'd like to ask the commission to consider making a village ordinance revolving around these bird-safe glass treatments. Bird collisions are a clear and very undeniable problem in Cottage Grove, along with throughout Wisconsin and many other areas in the Midwest. We already have framework from the Madison Ordinance and Middleton Ordinance. So I would ask you to consider taking the next steps to make this a possibility. Thank you.
So I will open it up to questions from the commission members for Ellie, and I see that Jared's online, so if you can raise your hand, or you can just probably interrupt us if you have questions too.
So for the locations that have implemented an ordinance like this, what have they seen in terms of reductions on the bird impacts?
So the ordinance definitely helps reduce these bird collisions. In Madison, I know that in the UW campus, the buildings that have the bird-treated glass definitely have a lower bird collision rate with, I think it dropped by over 50%.
Heidi, do you have a question?
I wanted to thank you for your presentation. I think it covered a lot of things and left us with some action steps, and it's good to know that Middleton and Madison already have ordinances like that we could model after if we choose to go that route. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the dark sky, like you talked about, because we do already have dark sky requirements, like for the lighting that has to go down. So definitely building on that to be less impactful on the wildlife, and so humans and nature can coexist better. So then I guess that transitions my question over to Tyler, Aaron, Rick, maybe. If you have other communities that you've worked with that have this kind of ordinance, I guess that we'd probably want to look into what might best fit Cottage Grove.
So I don't have any other communities that I work with that have an ordinance like this. So I know Madison's ordinance actually was challenged in court, and it was found to be upheld because developers were saying it was a building requirement, and we have to conform with the commercial code. So the court said that the Madison zoning ordinance was allowed. In other communities, I've seen it done through like the TIF process, where if it's like a commercial development, they provide more TIF incentive to ensure that bird safe glass is installed. So a couple different ways that I've seen communities do it.
I've actually not worked with any communities that have done that, but obviously it seems like there's some in the area that have, but yeah, so I don't have the experience to speak to that.
On the flip side, have you had private developers that have proposed this voluntarily without? Or?
No, this is actually learned a lot here at this presentation, so no, haven't seen that.
And Aaron, have you heard anything about conferences or anything along those lines?
Not specifically as far as ordinances with the windows and the glazing like what Madison has, but depending on the will of the Plan Commission, we can look into it more.
I think where you're going is, thank you for the presentation, awesome, by the way. When we apply rules and statutes, it's the enforcement piece. That's always the tough one. And then is it a burden to a developer versus nice to have, and are we creating costs for down the road? So I think, is this type of glass tied into like LEED certification or other certifications that, to your point, where the builder voluntarily goes this way? And if it's in, LEED, and there's different levels of energy efficiency, because I think even the glazing of the glass, from an energy perspective, we do have requirements already on R ratings of walls. We do stuff there. If it's rolled into there and a developer opts for their structure to be LEED certified, that could certainly be a way to help incentivize developers to do it. Hey, you're going to get a certification. We got these other pieces in here. We got to figure out what's the right way to put burden on the developers without putting burden on developers. So yeah, this is good.
What would the commission like to do as next steps?
I guess I see that we had kind of Madison's framework. If we want to see some other examples of how it's utilized, what through incentive or through zoning ordinance. I don't know if there's a central place where we can come back and have discussion about other examples and how we might be able to implement.
Yeah, the American Planning Association might have some articles at least or something about it, or examples.
So I think from a process perspective, there's really no discuss, consider anything, step in here from an agenda perspective. So maybe a future agenda, jump down to there, future agenda items, you know, if staff can bring back to the table reading points or talking points for us, that would be awesome. But yeah, and then we could probably put on a proper agenda item for direction of
Yes.
creation. Thanks.
Does that sound good? Do you have any questions for us? Okay. Thank you for coming. And you don't have to stay for the rest of this. Everyone else in the room has to stay, and Ellie is excused. All right, we are going to move on to item number 7. So it's 6:45, and I'll open the public hearing for input regarding requests from Bryn Mawr Presbyterian Church for approval of a zoning map amendment to rezone a parcel from planned industrial to SR4 single-family residential. And there's 2 attachments in the agenda. And I will turn it over to Aaron to kind of give us a overview of this during the public hearing, and then allow for any other comment either from Bryn Mawr and then from public comment as well.
Sure. So you'll recall last month we had a CSM. Currently, the church, and they also own the house immediately north of the church. Those 2 buildings are currently on 6 different parcels. They're looking to combine those into 2, so 1 for the home and 1 for the church. We had to prove that conditionally last time because one of those 6 parcels is currently zoned planned industrial because it kind of came from the part of the business park when that was developed. You can't combine parcels that are in 2 different districts into 1 district. You have to rezone them into 1 district first. So this was their request to do that, to get the one kind of oddball parcel there zoned to SR4 so they can move forward with combining those parcels.
We do have 2 wish to speak forms who do not want to speak tonight, and then 2 that do want to speak. So Randy Aguilera, 308 Tanglewood Courts in the Village, is a resident and is opposed to the rezoning of the property. And then Laura Michalowski is 312 Tanglewood Court, is a Village resident, and also does not agree with the changing of the parcel. So that leaves me to the 2 wish to speak forms. So first up is Penny. Just state your name, address, and then try and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Okay, my name is Penny Aguilera. I live at 308 Tanglewood Court. Our backyard is the backyard of Bryn Mawr Church. Our lot line completely borders the church lot and community garden, and we are stone's throw away from the wooded parcel in question. I would like to go on record as opposed to rezoning the property for housing or development of any kind. From our perspective, this land is already very much inhabited. For the last 26 years, we have witnessed an abundance of wildlife using this space every single day. Deer, fox, possum, raccoons, many groundhogs recently all come down what we call the hill into our yard and the church open space. We hear owls at night, and we know of several hawk families that nest there as well. On Sunday, we had a turkey come down the hill for the first time into our yard, so that was really cool. This is not just a parcel of land, it is an active, vibrant natural habitat. And living here, we experience the joy of that every day. Respectfully, the property owners do not live adjacent to this property, and the long-term impact of this decision will not affect them in the same way it affects those who do live there. I also serve on the Parks and Rec Committee for the Village, so I have a soft spot for parks and green space, natural habitat, and these, as we all know, are very vital for our community. The property in question is a wonderful natural habitat. Now, I fully understand that this is not designated parkland, and it is privately owned. It's not owned by the village. However, the village does control the fate of this property, and if you vote to rezone this parcel, you are casting your vote to destroy a really wonderful natural habitat. And once it's gone forever. So I ask that you vote no for the rezoning. Thank you.
Jay?
Good evening, folks. Jay Kiefer, 108 Vista Drive. So our lot is also adjacent, connected to the Bryn Mawr property, but on the western, northern, northwestern corner. So that's where we are. So we are one of many families that built our home there in 1997 as part of this Tanglewood subdivision. What drew us to build and move to our land was the incredible bank of pine trees that lined the perimeter of the church property. The green space behind the pine trees, the wooded hillside behind that, and the quiet neighborhood vibe that came with land that had previously served as a pasture for a local farmer. That's where our house is. Over the almost 30 years, we have enjoyed and appreciated our relationship with Bryn Mawr Church. In the 2000s, our daughters, Brownie and Girl Scout troops, along with many other community organizations, regularly utilized the church space and the property as an ideal gathering place for their Girl Scout troop. This was in addition to the additional nights of programming and utilization that the church provided internally for its congregation members. It was quite common to see the parking lot full, mostly on Sundays and on weekdays for worship. During the time he served as pastor at Bryn Mawr Church, I got the opportunity to meet Pastor John and talk with him quite a bit. He would consistently walk the perimeter of the church. He would pray. He would contemplate life. He would talk to community members as he walked around. He was a tremendous asset to our community. He served countless hours on the Park and Rec as a volunteer umpire. He was a tremendous asset to our community, and I appreciate his time at the church. The church, to my knowledge, still serves as the only food pantry in our community and regularly conducts blood drives to support the Red Cross. I bring all these thoughts into this perspective to you as I am sad to see and understand the financial challenges that face the congregation. I recognize and see that on any given Sunday, it is not uncommon to see only 10 or 12 cars in the parking lot. It's a big difference from where it was about 20, 25 years ago. That makes me sad. I know that we had so many folks and families connected to Sunday and throughout the week to the church itself. As a result, I do worry about what will become of the land and the property that we are here to discuss. As a resident that would be directly affected by any development to its current use, I would encourage you to use the input you receive to create a well thought out plan, not driven by financial consideration, but one that takes into account the best interest of the community as a whole and includes the quiet and connected nature of the Tanglewood community and the residents to the Bryn Mawr property. I would be disappointed and discouraged to see a large 3-story apartment complex or an expansion of one of our industrial sites to the other side or on the other side of the big hill expand onto the land. Fun fact, Bryn Mawr in Welsh means big hill. The wooded hillside currently serves as a relevant natural sound barrier and buffer from the industrial section to the residential neighborhood that I live in. In addition, the large green space now utilizes and is utilized by numerous community gardeners, serves as a natural surface for rain and stormwater management. If this were to be taken away, I'm also concerned on how the effect would be on the ability of the stormwater to drain. Located, which is in my backyard, it does get quite full of water, and if we had additional impervious land not there, I do worry about what would happen to any runoff that would happen if that green space was eliminated. Finally, I'm not here to say yes or no to what you are going to decide. I just ask that you be planful. In 1896, Bryn Mawr was established. It had 10 charter members. 1948, the cornerstone for the Bryn Mawr current church was put in place, and the first worship was held in 1949. In 2029, Bryn Mawr will celebrate 80 years at their current location. Bryn Mawr Church is one of only 3 faith communities in a village of 10,000 people. My hope is truly that Bryn Mawr continues to be around for many years, as I genuinely want to see the church survive, grow, and serve and contribute to the Cottage Grove community as it has since 1986. Thank you for my consideration of my thoughts.
Is there anyone else in the room that would like to give public comment on this public hearing? Is there anyone online? No. All right. It's 6:54, so I'll close the public hearing portion and move on to number 8, which is discuss and consider the request. And open it up to commission members for discussion. Go ahead, Alex.
Sure. Is Bryn Mawr, are they here? Is representatives here? I guess. Oh, whoever the question's for. I mean, it could be either or. So, What I'm seeing, and maybe staff can correct me wrong, is there's 6 parcels.
Mhm.
There's already residents in one of those parcels, and that's going to stay a parcel. And then there's this hodgepodge of parcels that's going to be combined with the church, the building church structure.
Some of them would go at the church, some of them would go at the house. The area where the community garden is would become part of the house parcel.
Okay. So SR4 is single family.
Right.
Is there a path to build multi-occupancy buildings on an SR4?
Not on an SR4, would have to get
Okay.
rezoned or,
And then I'm seeing consolidation of lots from a flow perspective. Multi breaks up, lots of parcels. Let's combine things. It's going to change things. The church, I'm guessing, is not property taxed now. They're exempt.
the church is not, I
But the
believe
residents
I believe
would
the
be.
house is, yeah.
The house would be, whatever, right? Unless it's somehow an associated business. So that would grow that tax if that
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure
land is.
which ones are tax exempt right
Sure.
now, but yeah, it may increase it a little bit.
So I guess my thought is I'm seeing consolidation of lots. Others are seeing development. What am I missing? That there's people are thinking there's development when the documents we have are just consolidation of lots.
Yeah, I mean, that's all that's happening now. What the church would do with that parcel in the future, we don't know. I mean, they could come back and seek rezoning, but if they did, then we would have to notify the neighbors again, and they would have to show us what they're doing, and we may or may not approve it, right?
Right.
So,
Okay.
the comprehensive plan also shows it as single family right now, so that would have to change as well in preparation of that.
Yeah, that's a plan. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's all I got.
So Aaron, just kind of following that, so SR4 would be single family or duplex by right?
Just single
Just
family.
single family by right? And so it wouldn't need like a site plan.
If they tore down the house that's there and built one new single-family home, that would not need site plan approval.
Right, so anything that turns into SR4 and is a single family is built, then it wouldn't, yeah,
Right.
just by right, no site plan. Is there, are we able to defer it until there is a plan? There's no way that we can require a site plan for SR4, or we could require a site plan in order to
mean,
rezone it, or?
The parcels where the house is, it's already SR4, so that's not what they're requesting to change right now. It's the corner down by the industrial park.
Yeah, the lot 2 that's highlighted in the packet. right?
Yeah, to the south of the parking lot.
And so that's the one that they're requesting, and so is there an opportunity to, if you come back with a site plan on how you're going to build it, to, I mean, because it is adjacent to planned industrial, so it has to meet buffer requirements or something, or how does?
Yeah, I mean, right now it couldn't be developed because it's not fronting a street. It's just kind of a leftover piece that, I don't know exactly what the history was, if they came to the church and asked if you wanted it or how that worked at the time, but, yeah, so it, even though it's zoned industrial now, it couldn't be developed because it's not fronting a public street. So adding it on to the church building property would just kind of make sense.
Could they like have some kind of easement to use the church driveway, or that they'd have to ask us about that, or not? I know it doesn't have frontage, but they could access through the church. I guess maybe it would be, can ask if they have.
Not
some
per the
intention.
ordinance.
Not per ordinance, okay. All right, thank you.
I guess given the information that we have today, I mean, the request is really to combine the parcels and then to rezone to single-family residential. But we have no other information on what may or may not happen in this area at this time. And like we said, the notification would go back out if there was something that were to come onto the table, which we don't have right now.
Which could may or may not happen in the current state of the parcels now. So, yeah.
And then given that there isn't a fronting road to that, there wouldn't be developments that could happen by right. in the
If
single
it stayed
family.
as it is, if it's getting combined with the church parcel,
In the future, down the road, right?
yeah, it would either, I mean, if they got rid of the church, they could build a house on that too, I suppose, but that
Wouldn't
seems
be
kind
a-
of silly to do. It
wouldn't
would
be a
be
church
probably an
anymore, it'd
expansion of
be
the church or
something else.
something,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there would be.
The church
yeah.
becomes something else. But it would still, it couldn't just be anything else. It couldn't turn into multifamily or something. It would have to be something that fits within the SR4, which would be either single family or some kind of institutional use like it is now.
Other comments, questions?
And that could happen now too. It just, this other parcel would remain its own thing. But
I guess we didn't have, Bryn Mawr didn't present anything, so if there's anything they wanted to add to the conversation,
Yeah, I'd
would
invite
be-
comments if there is anything to add. You can come up, either sit or stand at one of the microphones.
You got to get the right button. Just the thought here is, we didn't even plan on this rezoning. We did ask for, we did do a CSM to take the many lots that are there and to break it into two, one with a church and the property that would go along with the church, and the other one took part of the property, one of the outlots that's there now, and combine it with the residential lot that's already there. If we don't do that, we are going to be in the process of trying to sell that house, and this is the time that we can incorporate the land behind it into something that can be used. After, if we didn't do this CSM, which was here a month ago, then that would landlock that land back there, and we wouldn't be able to ever do anything with it. Our intent is not to do anything with those lots that are associated with the church. Was not our idea to come in for a rezoning for an SR4. It was a requirement, as it turned out, that we had to do that because those existing parcels actually individually won't exist after the CSM is registered. And you can't have two different zonings on the same property. So we felt the best way, since everything around it, including the church itself, sits on an SR4, that would be the route to go. That way the whole property would be zoned that way. Any questions?
No, thank you. I think that helps clarify intent
Thank
behind
you.
it, so thank you. And obviously, we heard from, a residence adjacent, to the property too. And so appreciate those comments and take those into consideration.
So Erin, I just want to make sure that, so if we go back to the CSM from last time, we see lot 2 that has the church and the parking lot on it, and then the most southern lot that actually says lot 2 on it. So that is the one that was planned industrial, that has to be SR4 to be combined with the lot that the church is on. And
Yes.
that's the only piece that we're considering tonight.
Yeah.
Okay. That's helpful, thank you.
Other comments from commission members? Otherwise, this is a discuss and consider and entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of the request from Bryn Mawr Presbyterian Church for approval of the zoning map amendment to rezone the parcel number listed in agenda number 8 from Plan PI to which is plain industrial, to SR4, single-family residential.
There's a motion by Alex, a second by John. All right, any other discussion on this agenda item? Otherwise, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Abstain? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
I, in my intro, missed this public hearing as well. So then we move on to open at 7:05, a public hearing to provide input regarding a request from Little Genius Bilingual Learning Center for approval of a conditional use permit to operate a group daycare of 9+ students at 400 Progress Drive. There's a variety of attachments in the agenda related to this item. Turn it over to staff and then anyone from Little Genius that may be here, and then open it up to public comment as well for this public hearing.
Yeah, we do have Genesis Villalobos will be one of the owner-operators of the Little Genius business. And then Ken Yan is their real estate broker, and his family will be purchasing the building. They're in the process of doing that. Basically, this is the building that Creative Kids Daycare is in right now. Creative Kids is closing actually at the end of this week. So they would be looking to basically move into that building and continue with the same function. But because it's a separate business, they need their own conditional use permit.
Go ahead. There you go.
Good evening. My name is Genesis Villalobos. I am the owner of Little Genius Bilingual Learning Center. Little Genius is a licensed bilingual childcare program currently operating in Madison, Wisconsin, serving children from 6 weeks to 12 years old. We currently serve 35 families who trust us with the care and education of their children. We would like to operate a licensed bilingual childcare program at the proposed location. The center would have a capacity of 70 to 80 kids and would operate Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., offering bilingual education in Spanish and English and meal services. Our goal is to provide a quality childcare for families in the community. Thank you for your time.
All right. Is there anyone in the room that would like to give public comment during this public hearing? Is there anyone on Zoom that would like to give comments? All right, it's 7:07, so I'll close this public hearing, and we'll move on to item 10, discuss and consider the request, and open it up to Plan Commission members for questions or comments.
I have a question for you. So I'm actually, I would be practically a neighbor for your business if this were to be approved. I live right in that cul-de-sac there, and the property has some repair issues, I suppose I would say. It's not, there's some issues with it, and I wonder if you guys have any plans for what you would do to improve the property if this was approved.
So, Kent Yan, my family's the one that's potentially buying the property. We have talked to some of our insurance providers. We are getting insurance quotes right now for the property, and they're giving us any lists. And we will, with Little Genius, will address the list that they provide. I know, I was on the roof a little bit. There was a lot of pine needles in the gutters. I get it. So yeah, I mean, our main goal is to help them get the building first, secure the building to get in and operate, and then we can address issues as they come up. Or, you know, whatever the insurance companies provide as a checklist, as a requirement, post-closing, or however that is set up, we can tackle those issues as well.
Thanks for that. I'm also concerned about the property value for the neighbors in that area. So, for example, that retaining wall that goes down Donkel Court, like it's failed, I think, 3 times in the last several years, which is very kind of unsightly. Personally, I think it's a safety issue for the children there if that continues to happen. And so I have a little bit of concern of, hey, we'll fix it after we get approval. But I do understand the position you're in where it's hard to say exactly what you would need to do absent findings from an insurance company. But I appreciate the response. Thank you.
Questions from other commission members?
I guess I'd just add that, we've had some childcare facilities close in the area, and so I think that there's a need for families in our community to have a place, and especially one offering bilingual. I'm not sure that we have that currently, so I think that would be a great addition to, services provided in our community, and in a location that people are familiar that there's a daycare there, so I think that should help bring potential clients in.
Staff recommendation was that the commission approves the CUP as presented. If there are no other comments, I'd entertain a motion on this one.
I'd like a motion to recommend approval for the request from Little Genius Bilingual Learning Center for approval of a conditional use permit to operate a group daycare of 9+ students that land at 400 Progress Drive.
Second.
Motion by Alex, second by Kim. Any other discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstain? Abstain? Motion carries. We will move on. Thank you for coming. To number 11, which is discuss and consider request from Dunroven Ridge LLC for approval of the Kennedy Hills Second Edition final plat, which is located within the village's extraterritorial jurisdiction. The few documents in the agenda. Oops.
So this is the second addition to Kennedy Hills. It's in the town of Cottage Grove, but within our mile-and-a-half jurisdiction. We're not looking at zoning. We don't have zoning authority, just the land division authority. This is, as I said, the second addition, so the last of 3 phases from a preliminary plat that was approved several years ago. So we'd recommend approval of the final plat. This will also go before the town and Dane County.
Comments or questions from the commission?
I guess I just find it interesting that the town will be connecting roads from existing subdivisions into new ones, and how important that is to make that access throughout a neighborhood, how it benefits people that already live there to have another access out, and new people moving in. So I just find that an interesting observation.
I guess I'd second that. When we had discussion from the Newman, which is actually on our agenda tonight, we had quite a bit of residents that came forward concerned about kind of traffic, and I know that there was a comment about potentially closing a road in the town road so that there wouldn't be access, but just kind of mirroring your comments there.
But I would make a motion to approve the request from Dunroven Ridge LLC for approval of the Kennedy Hills second edition final plat as presented.
Second.
All right, motion by Heidi, second by Alex. Any other discussion on this agenda item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. All right, item number 12, we are 7:13. We're going to open up a public hearing to provide input regarding a request from Newman Homes for the approval of the preliminary plat for Juniper Fields, a proposed 108-acre, 226 unit single-family residential subdivision, along with the approval of the zoning map amendment to rezone single-family residential parcels to SR6, single-family residential and future parkland and stormwater retention areas to the park and open space plan. Quite a few documents that the commission reviewed, linked in the agenda on this one. Invite
We do have Mike Calkins here. He's the engineer who designed the neighborhood. And also Brian from Newman Homes as well. You guys are welcome to come up here if you want to say anything.
And then we will open it up to public comments, both in person and online, after a little bit of a presentation on this item.
Good evening. As I mentioned, I'm Brian Lindgren with Newman Developments. So just a point of clarification, there is, or at least was, a Newman Homes. It's just not us. So we're Newman Developments, and we build homes under the Harbor Homes brand. So, no, we're excited about the development. We've been here to discuss it, on various occasions. I thought we had a very productive neighborhood meeting. We got good feedback from the various neighbors involved. We are a single-family for-sale home builder, so that's what we've proposed here. A preliminary plat and zoning consistent with the surrounding areas. We know there's, after the public hearing, assuming there's an opportunity to discuss some of the conditions and things, just clarifications, for the commission. We're happy to do that. But otherwise, we look forward to your feedback and excited about the opportunity.
So given that we're in this public hearing, and open it up to anyone in the room that'd like to give public comment on this. Or anyone on Zoom. Nobody. All right, 7:16, so I'll close this public hearing. We'll move on to discuss and consider the request. So open it up to commission members go ahead, Alex. We don't even get the whole sentence out. So why don't you come on back up? You can have a seat if
Before
you'd
we
like.
go to Alex, do we want to go through the staff reports?
Sure. Can we do that first? Okay. Let's go through the staff report and the conditions and have a discussion about that, and then open it up.
So as Brian said, there's actually two items on the agenda, one being the preliminary plat, the second one being the rezoning. This was the annexation petition would bring this in as RH rural holding, so the zoning would bring it into the final use, the SR6 single-family residential. So we do have a few recommended conditions related to the zoning. The first one being just the zoning doesn't take effect until the final plat is approved. To the extent that the final plat may include some minor tweaks and variations from the approved preliminary plan, the zoning districts would follow the final parcel boundaries. We would be applying park and open space zoning to outlots 1 through 7, which would include the future park and all stormwater management parcels.
Aaron, could we ask a quick question about that one?
Sure.
Outlot 6 on our preliminary plat is the one that we talked about for our community amenity and pool. So just want to be sure that designation doesn't prohibit it from private ownership.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, so the homeowner association will have a fractional interest in that one.
Yeah, yeah,
And we can still build them the pool.
yeah, yes.
We make promises, and I want to keep them.
Yes. And then the remaining, obviously, single-family lots would be SR6, along with outlots 8 through 11, which I think are like remnants that'll become parcels in the future when the Bannigan property and some of the adjacent property become part of the neighborhood. As far as the plat, we have a few conditions on that as well. First one being just a few technical items in the labeling. We want to see the total area of the plat, final street names, some of them are just lettered. With the zoning on the parcels that are adjacent to the plat. And then we ask for approximate depth to groundwater on the plat as well. Preliminary plat should be sent to, I guess I said Dane County in the memo, but really any objecting authority that would be applicable. I don't know if you're going to have any neighborhood covenants or anything like that.
We'll provide a draft of
Yeah, we would
those
just
for
want to
you.
see a draft of those. Same if there's any kind of property owner association or anything like that. Just look for continued coordination with Public Works and the village engineer on right-of-way and pavement width on Matt Pass. Again, naming the streets, not just the letters, and we'll just want to review those to make sure they're not too similar to existing streets in the area, just for wayfinding for emergency services primarily. talking about this with Ty and Josh at Strand. I think we'd kind of like to see Street C extend straight over to the property boundary instead of kind of jogging up to Street M. Kind of as it's drawn, Street M goes into an existing kind of residential parcel that probably wouldn't redevelop ever, whereas the ag land to the south could. So if the street extends, we'd probably want it into that area. as opposed to
There was some
further.
rationale behind that alignment, just that I
Yeah.
think we sent over, had a chance to send over, that we would like to discuss at least. You know, there's a town road that's aligns with Street M that someday may, you know, seek to connect, as well as that's the low point where stormwater flows from the east. You know, as far as collecting it and funneling it through our development.
Yeah, and Aaron, they actually just sent over a response detailing that about the stormwater, and then I followed up with our stormwater engineer who reviewed it, and it actually does, it makes sense the way that the overland flow routes being on a street. So I obviously it would be for circulation and for flow of traffic. It might be a little nicer to have it lined up, but from a stormwater perspective, I do kind of now see where they're coming from, but we can obviously continue that discussion. But since we had talked that they had sent that over, and we kind of followed up on that, so that was hot off the press today.
Yeah, I think we're just looking for the opportunity to work that out with you.
Yeah, for sure.
And just not have it a hard, has to go straight.
No,
type of
no,
conversation.
for sure. So.
Good, fair enough. Coming south from the park, there's a little kind of 20-something foot wide access point. Not a requirement, but it might be nice if that continued to the south side of the block, to the south edge of the plat, so that could continue further south to give people kind of a off-street
No
road into the
objection
park.
to that.
Okay.
Probably modify just a couple lot widths in
Yep.
order to accommodate that.
Yeah, looked like you had a little bit of extra space to work with there. Curb radii at intersections with mat pass, not to exceed 25 feet. The others, not to exceed 20, 15 feet preferred. That was something we recently added to our subdivision ordinance. We just want to make sure there's emergency access through all of those kind of 20-foot entrances into the park.
When you say that, we're envisioning like a 10-foot path of some type, whether.
Yeah.
Just so that ambulances or
Yep.
anybody else.
Yeah,
can use it.
exactly.
Not fire trucks.
Let's see. Continue to coordinate with the village regarding the grading of the park. We've had some discussions with Steve on your team on that, and that's kind of
I know
continuing.
those are ongoing, yeah.
Yeah. I think we're making progress on that. And then plat approval shall take effect upon completion of annexation into the village. I know you guys sent it to the state promptly, and I think they had a little bit of an issue with some employee turnover or something like that, so they're just starting to look at it now. But hopefully we'll get our letter from them. We can get the annexation approved at the board, and then this would take effect after that. Ty, I don't know if there's anything you want to...
Yeah, you already kind of talked about a few things. Talked about Matt Pass, having a little bit wider right-of-way, given the pavement width, would be a collector as shown now. So to give ourselves a little bit more room in the terraces, either giving a little bit more right-of-way, but then also 40 foot is the maximum width of pavement for a collector. So we had that on there. Talked a little bit about the parks. I mean, we had put that we'd want you to just continue to work with the Parks Director, with Sean and the Parks Committee. I know there's a desire to have some more street frontage, if not, then to have a little bit better access by vehicles into the park. So I know that those discussions, like Aaron mentioned, are ongoing. Let's see, as far as utilities, just relocating the lift station to be a little bit closer to Meyer Road for a future interceptor coming up from the south whenever that lift station does come offline. You already kind of responded and that seemed acceptable, so that was something we would like to see. The lift station, the force main location wasn't shown on this, so just kind of Looking at where that should go, ideally it would go to like North Lawn because it wouldn't have to be pumped again. We wouldn't want ideally to have sewage pumped it to a lift, from a lift station and then have to be pumped again. And North Lawn also happens to be the closest.
We agree and
Yeah.
plan that accordingly.
Okay, I figured. I mean, it just logically makes the most sense, right? Let's see, talked about parks. Some stormwater grading things. We talked about Street M and kind of how that works with the stormwater, you know, but still open to discuss that. But it makes sense with the overland flow routes. Speaking of overland flow routes, there's a couple off-site drainage basins that come through here. Notably, there's like 100 acres on the southwest side, and kind of just discussing how that's going to get through the backs of those lots along the south side of the plat. How, you know, how much usable lot spaces are going to be after you grade a ditch in there? Is it, you know, does that ditch have the capacity to take the overland flows? At the northeast, I think there's 2 watersheds that you're kind of crossing one into the other. And that was something that we try to avoid. So might need to look at some different stormwater management or some different drainage between those 2 watersheds, or those 2 watersheds at the northeast. And then the only other thing, the overland flow route coming to the east off of Street D, kind of the same way you guys wanted to extend Street M. It might maybe make sense to extend Street D. That way you have the overland flow coming through the street rather than between lots. You know, it's better to have the flood come on the street than in between people's houses. So that's maybe something to look at. I, you know, don't know on all that feasibility, you know, but that was something that we noticed.
And I think we're fine with that. It was more of a grade change, and if we're not being held to meeting grade at the property line and we can accommodate to take the flows, I think we can.
Yeah, that's something we can definitely look at it as you know, work out the grades a little more. Other than that, there were just some minor comments on the plat, drafting and appearance things, and that was kind of what we had as far as a letter. Yeah, I guess if we've got anything else we want to talk about, or if any, I'll turn it back over to you, Cindy, I guess.
Alex, what do you got for us?
Okay. Where to begin? Okay, so there's a lot of names going around. So last meeting we had Lindstrom with the annexation. The application is with their name on it for one of the agenda items. The other that's agenda item 14. Agenda item 13 is Newman Homes, but is Newman Development. Can you walk me through all the names just so I understand?
So Lindstrom Acres is the current owner that they're purchasing the land from, but because they don't own it yet, Lindstrom had to be the one who requested the annexation. So that's why their name is on that. Newman Homes is the developer. Juniper Fields is the current name for the subdivision. For a few weeks there, it was something else.
Yes. So Newman Developments will be the developer.
Okay.
Newman Homes is not us. It ended up there. It happens. It happens wherever we go. We are not affiliated with Newman Homes in any way, shape, or form.
Do not use that. Okay.
Kosh Valley was a name we gave it. It didn't resonate well, so it's gone. Juniper Fields is a better received.
Okay.
So we're gonna run with that one.
Okay, that clears that. Okay, thanks. I got confused in the one drawing for the lot layout, but then I straightened myself out. We know there's that one piece that's in the town for Mayor Road. I think it's still in there. So I'll jump to that question, which is a new one. So lots 227 to 233, which is future N. What is happening with those in the meantime?
In the meantime, it's an existing homestead, so they'll be living there. We have
Okay.
an arrangement.
That's
with
actually
them.
okay.
Yeah, it's a different parcel. Yep.
Well, but they're in your zone line. I'm looking at one of the drawings, and so 227 to 233 is in your development zone. It's what's getting annexed. It's not part of the part. So they are going to get parceled, but they'll just be landlocked and
It's an
can we do
outlet.
that? Or is it just going to be part of the outlot right now? It's going to be an outlot and we would come back and rezone them?
Those are part of the parcel that we are annexing. It'll come in with the initial plat as an outlot, and that was referenced in one of the conditions that
Right, so it'll,
it stay as rural holding until such future time as the rest.
Okay. All right. I got an easy one here. Are they going to be gas homes?
Natural gas?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we'll work with Alliant.
Is that what we want to
Or
do?
we, or-
Carbon stuff? I don't know. Are we still doing gas? I don't know. Maybe that's something for the board. I don't know.
So you can have a gas furnace and a gas water heater?
Yeah. Don't we want to move things? I don't know. Isn't there sustainability, something or another? Just asking. That's for you guys to talk later.
Right, I don't know that we.
I'll throw that to you guys later. That's fine. Yeah, but it's 200,000 houses, right? I mean, we're looking, I don't know what the number was, I forget, but it's a lot, right? And I know sustainability is a thing, and I don't know. Alliant Energy may want to know it's extra electrics, if that's a thing.
Right, I don't think that, in Sustainability Committee a long time ago, I think we talked about incentives for people to, this was an idea that people would, like an incentive to have an electric furnace or something, but I'm not sure if they've come far enough to have an electric furnace, required in Wisconsin with our temperatures. I don't think a heat pump is strong enough for our winters yet.
Heat pump and backup, okay. That's for you guys to.
I think that was a conversation back in Sustainability
Yeah,
Committee a while ago.
Yeah. Okay. Aaron, thank you for covering the annexation not approved yet in your notes, and that's a condition. So I had a question on that. So there we go. Okay. Outlot 7. Okay, outlot 4 is my example. Oops. Outlot 4 looks like it has 2 paths in, one from the northeast and one from the southwest-ish. So those are basically maintenance paths. So outlet 7, how does that'll I guess be dedicated to the village. How do we maintain outlet 7? Or I guess the question would, can we add a path into outlet 7? It's the one all the way up north.
I think we actually had a comment on that, about putting an outlot between lots 116 and 117, and that might serve that purpose. I don't know if that's kind of where, but that would kind of lead to outlot 7. That was a comment I didn't specifically talk about, but that was one of the things in the letter, if that would kind of satisfy.
Did you put it into the recommendations part or just in your narrative?
That was in
Staff
the,
can we condition that? I don't think we can, but we need to maintain it.
Yeah, I think.
I wouldn't accept it for the village when it gets to them.
20-foot access area.
I think it's fair.
Sure.
Okay, all right. That one's, check that one off. Annexation, that's done off. Okay, I think you touched on M as well. So Street M, which is that little nugget that goes to the east. It felt like there's this long path down future J with no other nugget to go to the east. So it felt like, and granted, those are future outlots, right? So they may put a nugget in, may not put a nugget in. But I think I like how you thought about M. It does point to something way out there. I was kind of looking at how you said that, and I followed through with that. I don't know that there's anything else between, I'm just going to throw 2 numbers out, between 258 and 257. I don't know if there's anything that it could connect to. I think you mentioned maybe it was Street D, taking that all the way to the end or something, because then we can connect to that lot. I don't know what lines up, but I think you did good homework. It sounds like for M, maybe there's some way to connect to that next east.
Sounds like
Yeah,
extending Street D to the east makes sense.
Yeah, it's close enough to the low point, and we're going to be well below the property line. There's a lot more grade change between this low point, so I don't think we'll have any issue extending that and taking care of the stormwater similar fashion. So.
Okay, so that was that. I guess the other note. Oh, I circled these. So not Mayor Road. I circled it, but that's not right. So right now, Street D and Street L are going to be dead ends, like dead ends. There's no cul-de-sac, there's no nothing. So from an emergency services turning radius, I think the future J is helpful to see that. And there's an idea, there's a future. There's no timeline, which makes it difficult. But there's a path. I don't see a path for L to help with emergency services there. So like all the other little roads, you got the bulbs, cul-de-sacs on there, whatever they're technically called, but there's nothing on L. And so that, I think, goes right to the airport. So there's no plan, I think, of doing anything up there. So I think that has to be addressed from an emergency services perspective. That's a way too long of a street without a way to flip a truck around.
Mhm.
Yeah,
We
we had some concepts that did this.
Cul-de-sac or
I
a
think
larger hammerhead easement or something.
I think in addressing Tyler's comments about the two different drainage basins, if we're okay to work out staff, that emergency service issue and the drainage
Make sure
together.
there's adequate turnaround.
Yeah, whether that's like a hammerhead or a bulb or something, I think that's a really good comment. I guess with the airport comment, I don't know if that was ever, there was a reason why it was to be extended in the future or not, but even in the interim, like you said, you gotta have something until any future development goes forward, so.
I mean, D's really long as well. And although there's a future plan, I think it's helpful to see it. There's zero timeline as far as I don't know. Right?
You mean to connect to J?
To connect to J. Like, so at this meeting, at this time, whether or not there's conversation, there is no date, right? And so I think we need turnaround, even if it's going to absorb some of the lots, and then those get, when it connects, that all gets demoed out, and it's more buildings, and then that's great. But those two roads are going to they're just too long.
Yeah, it's probably a detail we would see with the final plan.
Just to mention it, this will be a phased development, so we'll bring it in stages. So each time we end a phase with a stub street, we typically work with staff to somehow provide a temporary turnaround situation instead of just a dead end. And then we pull that out as we extend it. So we'll continue to do that, as we go from phase to phase, and work with the engineers to get something that works for everybody.
Can you just remind us of what your phasing looks like for this?
Yeah, so,
I think it is different than what's in the packet, because I think we switched one and two.
One change from what's in the packet, phases 1 and 2 are more or less gonna flip-flop. Reason being is the ongoing conversations about the park, it really getting through some of the questions as to what that looks like, how it's graded, access, is gonna take a little bit more time. So we flipped that to phase 2. Coming off of East School Road and Molly Lane are where the utility connections exist today. So that's where we'll start there. Stormwater facilities are located in Outlot 7, and we'll extend that south to Meyer Road, will be part of the first phase.
So there'll be a temporary road between the end of the Meyer Road bulb up into the new lots in phase 1. So there will be a connection from Meyer Road into phase 1, which is a discussion.
Which is consistent with a discussion we had with the neighbors.
Right.
So-
Can I share, Kelly? I've got the zone map, so that way people can see what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, that'd be helpful to follow along.
Let me try again. Okay, I gotta hit request
And from like a
again.
neighborhood
There we go.
perspective too, I think it's helpful to know what roads go in and how many access points there are.
Is this the new one or the old one?
That's the new one.
Okay, yep, this is the one you just sent over today?
Yeah.
Okay. So now you got something to talk off of at least.
So the lots that are shown bounded by phase 1 would be completely finished and saleable. And then where the phase 4 is, Meyer Road, there'd be a connection off the end of the bulb up into the lots that are being sold. So there is connectivity there, and then School and Molly. So there'll be 3 ways into phase 1.
So that gets me in the Meyer Road. So that is continuous right now to the bulb, whatever wrong word is for it. But, and then you're going to connect to it. That road, in all fairness, I haven't driven the road, but I Google Earthed it. Whatever. So Google doesn't lie. It looks like, and I'm not the engineer, so forgive me. It looks like an improved driveway, right? It is not a road. So you're going to have to improve that road within the phase 4-3 to meet village standards. And then, so that's the thing. That's okay.
Yeah.
You're confirming that. That's fine. Okay, which I figured, but I just hear it. Okay. And then with every development always comes our famous traffic study. So you improve it to the end of phase 3. This is super helpful. Actually, you had this up there because we can all see it, except for the people that need to see it. Their backs to it. That's true. So it'll be improved up to the end of phase 3. Then it turns into improved driveway to the town, Cottage Grove Road. At that point at Cottage Grove Road, it's 55 miles an hour. So have we done, and this comes up, and I know we talked about it before, the traffic study. So some people are going to go west and get collected on N and go to the highway, dump it, get into Madison, or they're going to go south to Cottage Grove Road and then down to 12 and 18 or whatever it is. And so that's how is Meyer Road going to handle that traffic as a town road?
I think it was a 3-part traffic study, right? There's 3 points.
The traffic impact
super.
analysis was one of the conditions recommended, so we'll engage in the traffic engineers, and there was several intersections that needed to be studied, and that was one of them.
But I think you're asking about the road itself, the quality of the road handling the traffic of the development,
so the
as well as the intersection.
So the study
right?
comes in and says life is great, which would be awesome. Generally, everything can be improved. Let's just throw that out there. So if it comes in that Meyer is recommended or required, improvement in the town side of it, what happens to that? And of course, I don't want to get into they're going to put a gate. They're not going to put a gate up, right? They'll put Jersey barriers instead. But that won't happen. So what happens there with this road? Because we're going to have to get out of that, right?
So there's nothing the village can do as far as improvements to the town portion of it. So, I'm not a traffic expert engineer. I mean, maybe they use School Road to access Main Street, but we don't have the authority to do anything on that town road, right? So if the town, we could potentially come to some sort of agreement with the town on improvements, but they'd have to be willing to listen, right? Potentially, I don't know if the intersection at BB, if that's in the village.
I don't. I think we ended it's not Johnson Health. Is
The
it
Northwest Wildwood
Wildwood
Clinic owns out to the east, up to Meyer Road.
All those trees. So Meyer Road potentially is it? Well, sorry.
It's in the town.
It's in the town. Just say it's in the town.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably.
So if it's in the town, if that intersection's in the town, maybe the county would be looking at that as far as intersection improvements, but that's not.
The trouble is it impacts
yeah.
us. It impacts. I know what you're. So this is the rub with all of these. Behind Glacier Development, we had the same problems, right, with connections into other jurisdictions. This is a much bigger development than some of the things we've seen before so it's less volume challenges. So I think the traffic study really comes into play.
If traffic impact analysis will tell us what improvements are warranted where and if it warrants improvements at BB, we would work with the county highway department on that. They could grant permission to work within their right of way. If there's a segment that's in the town, we would have to engage the town, to improve anything there.
So not knowing this stuff yet, how does that impact us from building something that there could be a problem. And so we could be moving forward with something that could be a problem without all the information. Once we get the information, it certainly makes the decision tree a lot easier. So it's not like I'm not freaked out, but I'm like, from a process perspective, we're missing a key piece of information that could help, especially with phasing. So I like that phase 1 is up to the north, so this is less of a problem, right? So things got moved already that help us in our decision, but without this piece.
So typically how we would handle this is through the development agreement. So like the traffic study, impose that as a requirement and require them to make the improvements recommended for their like portion or like their contribution. So the development agreement could specifically state like traffic impact analysis, you make the improvements necessary as a result of your development. Not to say like if there are intersection improvements needed, like let's say at School Road, we can't say 100% of that is on them, that it's their proportionate share. But we could, whatever is sort of a direct nexus to what their development is, that's where we can impose improvement requirements.
So but theoretically, if the improvement requirement to School Road comes in at $1 trillion, which it won't, but like it's just some exorbitant, it becomes a burden. There's a threshold where it's a burden to the village, and we don't know that now. Wouldn't it be better? I mean, we could still sort of like, hey, this looks great. We put this in the comp plan. It looks awesome. And then once we figure out a better way that that's not a burden, it gets approved. Or like, I just feel like from help me get through the chicken and the egg or the cart and the horse issue.
There's really great flow charts on how development works in the village that we talked about last fall that shows the steps that have to be taken in order to get the answers. And when there are, the developer agreement comes about and the developer doesn't want to make those improvements, then the whole thing doesn't happen. Like there's a whole negotiation process that has to go through, and with the agreement that the board has to sign off on as well.
Because I think it comes through the agreement basically to say when the traffic impact analysis would tell us like when there's going to be a tipping point. So when we get to that tipping point, that's the phase where we have the improvements made, and that we just lay that out in the development agreement to say if the traffic impact analysis says an improvement is warranted when it gets to that basically that point or that phase, that's when that improvement would be made, and we'd be working with Strand to tell us basically what has to happen.
I think that's a nice way of putting it, because even when I look at it and I'm like 208 homes all coming in at once and they're all going to be going to work at the same time I'm going to work. And so that just automatically makes me think that there's going to be 400 cars at that intersection at that same time. And that's just, I think, human nature. Like we all think that way, when that's really, there's going to be a whole process that happens in order to even get this entire subdivision built out, and it's going to be over time. And then we are constantly evaluating our intersections throughout the village, and when those, tipping points do happen, that's when the village board and plan and public works are going to come together and say, now's the time where we have to start making decisions. And we know if we know this ahead of time, we can put it in capital improvement lists and work from there. It also, this is very similar amount, like kind of comparable to kind of the West Lawn subdivision that we already have. This isn't any enormous development that we're putting in that's the biggest that's ever been seen in Cottage.
Right, and kind of a couple things to piggyback on, the traffic impact analysis will tell us where, not just how many, but where the distribution of trips would go. So how many people, should go west and how many people would go south based on their location. And the other thing, you compared West Lawn, the nice thing about this one is they do have 3 roads that connect in to the village network. Well, one goes to a county road, but you've got, actually, no, you have 4. You have School, you have Molly, and you have North Lawn that are village streets today. So, you'd be able to see it on the traffic study, but where the people, based on where they live, where they would go. And you do have a signal at School right now as well, which, is a benefit to handle more traffic.
And I think those other intersections have been on our radar too.
Sure.
For improvements that would happen in the future. And then we can update those traffic studies too, right? When we can finally get a good picture of human behavior and what is actually, what these people are doing and where they're going and how the roads are functioning. But we do know that, because we've talked quite a bit about those roads and what the capacity is of those roads, and we're kind of nowhere near capacity. But it'll be good information to have to make future decisions.
Can I add something about Meyer Road?
Sure, if you want to come up to a microphone, if you have information about the road.
I just wanted to say.
You have to put the little.
Yeah, not the little person.
I just wanted to say that I think I've heard that Meyer Road would be the designated construction entrance, and if the traffic analysis is not going to take that into account, there could be some dangerous situations at Meyer Road and BB with truck traffic. So I just wanted to mention that as part of the traffic study.
Thanks. Go ahead, Alex.
Thanks. No, that's all very helpful. So this is, so again, from a process perspective, that's what I'm looking at, just to make sure, and you're right, we talked about this, I just want to make sure we're following, because we don't even have the annexations that are complete, right? So that became a condition. So this is a preliminary plat. This is not, if the annexation was done, this is not approval to break ground. We still have, to your point, from a process perspective, there's toll gates for that. So that's what we're looking at. That's what we're looking at. That's our challenge, right? Or
Yeah, that's generally correct. The one
Okay.
caveat I would add is just if the preliminary plat or if the final plat is substantially similar to the preliminary plat, there's sort of this presumption of approval.
Sure.
So, but
Fair.
yes, generally,
Okay.
that's right.
Okay.
And it is typical to have conditions, and it's in that time that we resolve those conditions so that it can be in substantial conformance and clean.
Okay. All right. Well, for now anyway. Last random question. So have you connected with the town on that Meyer Road, right? So these streets are going to get dedicated to the village. We'll be responsible for street sweeping. We have a street sweep. We still have a street sweep. Not leaf collection. We're going to get a leaf truck. Yeah, we are. Snow removal. So Meyer in the town, I mean, this is a main, this is going to be, once phase 3 and 4 is done. And has there been conversations with the town about maintenance around that road or how that's going to work?
Not yet. It's just a little premature until we know more about how this is going to progress forward, but that'll be something that we have to engage in with the village as far as what happens south of the development.
It's the town. That's what I'm saying. Have you talked to the town at all around maintenance of that
The
road? or-
representative in the room.
No. Okay. That's it for now. Thank you.
All right, any other comments from other commission members? I'm just kidding, Alex, I think it's great. Or online. Otherwise, we do have number 13 and number 14 here.
I guess I want to loop in something quick from the park conversation. In some areas of the village, so we have connectivity to parks. We have, like, you have the little area where the bike multi-use path will then cut into the park on the eastern side and the north and the south. In some areas of the village, we do have bike path, multi-use path instead of sidewalk. And so I guess I would say that we should probably work through that, if that's not in the notes also, with the Parks Committee on which of those, like, makes sense because the village removes snow from those. So however we can make a loop, and so we'll keep that on our radar with the Parks Committee also.
Yep, and we'll have a nice plan to present shortly.
Okay, great.
And that is in it.
Perfect. Yeah, because I'm sure you're going to have lots of people taking their bikes to the pool, and out.
Yeah,
out
we'll have
on one,
access
too.
from all 4 sides, you know, so.
Great.
Number 13 and 14.
I would make a motion to recommend approval of the request from Newman Development for approval of a preliminary plat for Juniper Fields, proposed 100-acre, 226-unit, single-family residential subdivision with conditions as outlined in the staff memos.
Second.
Motion by Heidi, second by Kim. There were a few other things that we talked about tonight, and are those captured then in the motion? Just wanted to make sure.
Are there
we
any
didn't miss
specific you would
anything.
like me to? I think we had the traffic studies in there. The access to the northernmost outlot is in there. Was there Something else that we talked about that we wanted as a condition that,
It was the
Wasn't it?
extension of D, if that's not specifically in there, that would be the one that comes to my mind.
okay.
I just wanted to make a point too, that this updated phasing would be good to have incorporated for accuracy's sake, because that's much more relevant to what we were discussing than the one that's in the agenda right now.
Yep, with the phasing as presented at the meeting.
All right. As long as we've got it all incorporated into the feedback, then.
Kelly, my motion makes sense? Okay, perfect.
Right,
Thank
we
you.
got it.
You can go to the tape if you need.
All right, there's motion and second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Number 14.
I would recommend approval of a zoning map amendment to rezone single-family residential parcels in the Juniper Fields preliminary plat to SR6. There are conditions for this item? With conditions?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, with conditions.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion by Heidi, second by Kim. Any other discussion on the zoning? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, number 15, discuss and consider moving the July meeting date to July 15th,
2026? 2026?
2026.
I'm out of town, but you guys are fine without me. I'll submit my notes.
Okay. We're
3
moving
weeks
it
in
because of me,
advance.
so. Is that okay?
And I
We
think,
can always-
Cindy, did we want it to be 7 because of the library meeting, or is that?
Oh, no, we did have that discussion, didn't we? Yeah, and we're gonna start at 7 o'clock.
What's the 8th? Oh, no, yeah, what's the 8th? That we can't do that? I forget.
Me?
Oh, that's
I think
fine.
it's, yeah, it's a me problem. I'm out of town. Sorry, it's fine. The fish concert is also that night if you wanted to go to that.
That sounds fun.
Which I'm not going. I'm doing nerdy science stuff. Okay. So yeah, we'll move it. I guess I'll make the motion to move the July meeting date to July 15th, 2026 at 7 p.m.
Second.
Motion by Kel Nelson, second by Alex. Don't say your last name. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Future agenda items. Maybe we'll have the bird window
Ordinance
info.
review, or
Bird stuff.
Bird comments,
We'll probably won't see Newman that quickly with the final plat. That would be a pretty quick turnaround. We're going to have a public hearing for the data center moratorium.
do we still need that, Dane County?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
That
Okay,
only
just
covers
checking.
unincorporated towns.
Yeah.
The county does.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, fair.
Probably other stuff, but that's what I know for sure.
All right. Number 17.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Heidi, Alex, non-debatable. All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.
Recording stopped.